Okay, for today, the only thing that's different is now we're going to have stretches and reflections in with our equations. So this one has 3 and 5 are the two key numbers, so x minus 3 and x minus 5. And then I told the kids there was a stretch of 2, and it was vertically reflected. So here's a stretch of 2. And here is vertically reflected. Now it's a negative 2. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Okay, awesome. Now, figure out the vertex. There's two different ways you could do it. You could use logic, or you could figure out what the axis of symmetry is and then plug it in. Either way, figure out the vertex. Then write it in vertex form. Now, the reason we have several people absent today is we do have a few juniors in here, and a few of those kids will take the PSAT on a day like today. We could even theoretically have a senior in here. I just don't think we do. I know some of you are used to, well, aren't classes all the same grade? Isn't this all 9th graders? No, this is pretty much evenly split with some 9th and some 10th. And then occasionally you have an 11th grader and an honors level in this class. And theoretically, you could have a 12th grader too. All right, did you know that the vertex would have to be right down the middle of this? What's the name of that line? Axis of symmetry. And it would be... No, let me think. 3 would be at 4. Wrong. What's wrong with that? Because that's not the axis of symmetry. It's really picky, but you guys aren't seeing it. X equals 4. That's an axis of symmetry. Remember, a single 4 doesn't mean anything. It has to say like x equals 4. Okay, otherwise just 4. What does that mean? It could be x is 4, could mean y is 4, it could mean just like how big something is. You know, it weighs 4 pounds. But on a graph, a single 4 by itself, the answer just 4 will be marked wrong 99% of the time. Okay, now if I wanted to draw it, I'm going to put in that dot at that vertex. I can tell that it would have to be right here. It's going to be harder to explain why it would have to be right here, but I know it's an upside down parabola because of the flip, and I also know that the stretch means that when I go over 1 and down 1, there should be a dot there, and wait, there isn't because there's a stretch. All right, so to me this was the logical approach, but if you wanted to not do it logically, if you wanted a math way to do it, you could say take that 4 and stick it in the equation, and you'll be able to solve for y and figure out what y has to be. Because see, look, this equation says y equals all that. So y equals, and then 4 minus 3 is 1, and then 4 minus 5 is negative 1, and negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 times the negative 1 makes positive 2. And so my point would be 4 and 2. So 4 comma 2 is the vertex. All of that making sense? All right. Then what's the vertex form of the equation? Kenneth Lawrence, what'd you get for the vertex form?
It'd be x. Oh, no, it'd be negative.
Ooh, yup.
And then x, or 2.
Negative 2.
Negative 2, and then x minus 4 plus 2. And then x minus 2.
Okay, I think you were giving me factored form there. I want the one.
4 and then plus 2.
There we go. And then don't forget the little square down. Maybe you already said it. And then plus 2. There we go. Now notice, there was a negative 2 out in the front of this one, and there's a negative 2 in the front of that one. Otherwise, they look the same as they normally would. Like, This is just the same as the last 2 days, except now they have a stretch in front of them. All right. And what if I wanted the y-intercept? Finish this sentence for me. The y-intercept is where
X equals
x equals 0. Figure out the y-intercept, please. All right. You just put a number in for all of those. If you want the x-intercept, you'd set y equal to 0, but I wanted the y-intercept. So I'm setting x equal to 0. So you just need 1 0 right there, and I could just solve. That's going to be 16 times negative 2 makes negative 32 plus 2. Negative 32 plus 2 seems like it should be y equals negative 30. Raise your hand if you had negative 30. I'm curious. Good. Okay. Now, it's a y-intercept. What's the proper way to write it? Negative 30 comma 0. Since it's a y-intercept on a graph, you should default to this way. If you had written y equals negative 30, then maybe I could have given you credit. If you had just said negative 30, there's no way I could give you credit. Because it's too vague. It doesn't say at all what it is. Yes? This was the x, or the y-intercept. So you're right. It's a y-intercept, so x is 0. Thank you. The y-intercept has x is 0. And that's where the negative 30 goes. Thank you. Okay, so there's a review of a lot of stuff. And now you have a homework quiz, meaning this only counts in the homework category, on exactly that. There's one last thing that I want to kind of prep you for, is what if I give you one follow-up question? I take this equation, y equals negative 2, parentheses, x minus 4 squared plus 2. If I just said, what form is that in? Would you be able to answer that question? Mm-hmm. Good. Without having to graph it, would you be able to tell me the vertex? Yes. Would you be able to tell me the y-intercept? Would you be able to tell me, oh, by the way, the y-intercept was where what? Good. And if I wanted the x-intercept from this? It would not be fun. But the x-intercept, you'd set y equal to 0, and then you'd have to solve it, which you'd be like, dang, I really wish I had factored form. And we did have factored form, so you can always switch to that form of the equation, and it tells you the x-intercept's super easy. All right, last thought. What if I asked you, what is f of 2? Figure that out. What is f of 2? F of 2. If you're like baffled by that, you're just not realizing, I just told you to stick 2 into the function. That's all it means. So if you were putting a 2 in here, you're doing it right. And then that would be negative 2 squared is 4. 4 to negative 2 is negative 8 plus 2. I think you get negative 6. All right, there you go. F of 2 was negative 6. That's it. But what is that good for? It gives you a point. If I stick in f of 2, I just found a point. A point that is on this line is 2 comma negative 6. Okay? All right, cool. So, with that warm-up, now I'm going to give you this quiz. Counts only in the homework category, and you have to do this by yourself. Okay, no asking the kid next to you. And that's all I got for you for the video for today.